Hello, and a very warm welcome to this session that is going to be about engaging with Planet Youth. You heard a lot about the process, the methodology, prevention capacity assessment, but now we turn to working with us as an organization. My name is Pall Rikhardsson, and I am the Chief Executive Officer of Planet Youth. Now, when you engage with Planet Youth, you are engaging with an organization, with experts that have been doing this for a long time. You are also engaging with a certain methodology. And this methodology is based on a process, as Planet Youth methodology is not a prescriptive program, it is a process framework. And this process implies or entails two things, and your obligations as a new partner are to take this on board. You will experience that dependent on what services you will be implementing, whether it's the primary prevention strategy development, the youth service, or the prevention capacity assessment, you are engaging with that process. You are engaging with or participating in a process that entails preparation, it entails data collection, it entails workshops, it entails project management advice as a structure for how you work. But it also entails that you as a partner are taking on a cyclical approach to primary prevention. And in this case here, you are seeing a cyclical approach based on biannual data collections. The first year, you collect the data, you collect the data, and you decide on the initiatives, the interventions you want to do, and then you implement. The next year is the implementation year, where you implement the chosen initiatives. The third year, you measure again, figure out and find out what the data tells you about how things are working, decide to modify or change, and then you implement again for the third year, and then you measure again. So this cycle is one of the keys to the Icelandic prevention model on which the methodology is based. So engaging with Planet Youth entails that you will, as a partner, you take this on board and understand how the methodology actually creates results, and that the data collection is a means to an end. It's not an end in itself to collect the data, it's a means to an end. Going and looking at how you start this journey of data-driven primary prevention, and how you engage with an organization like Planet Youth. Usually we find our partners engaged. There's a long preparation and discussion and dialogue phase before we even start talking about contracts and agreements. We want to assist our partners as well as we can in preparing for this journey. And that entails in the beginning in this initial dialogue to talk about funding, talk about the project teams, the competencies of these teams, how the organization is structured, how the partner organization is structured. There are different types of cooperations depending on if it's a grassroots organization, an NGO, a federally funded agency, a government or a municipality. There are different variations on that theme, but we work with the partner in defining how it's best to structure the process, and also how it's best to divide the units, the local units, into a manageable unit so that the partner can actually implement and implement the initiatives going forward. After this phase, we enter into a dialogue regarding an agreement. Now, for us, we have a template agreement, and this agreement has some boilerplate standard clauses, and it also has some appendices that actually define the project within the partner organization and in the communities that we are addressing. They include a timeline, they include the report structure for the reports that the partner is going to get, the process follow-up framework, specific partner-specific criteria, and so on and so forth. But this template is a dialogue tool. So we after the preparation phase and the initial dialogue, this is how we define the project. This is how we structure the project in a given community. And the dialogue regarding the agreement, how many local units are we talking about, the size, how many schools, how number of students, the reporting structure, the timeline, and so on and so forth, can take up considerable time to get it right. Because, as in so many other projects, the success of the process, the success of the project is often defined in these phases. After that, after we have signed the contract, signed the agreement, we agree on a process, there is a capacity and a competency building. Now, we'll get to that a bit later. It's intensive in the first year of the project. There's a lot of competency building and workshop and training, but this approach to increase the competency, to increase the capacity, capability of the partner goes throughout the 5-year, how many years we are talking about, project. Because in our world, we are not going to solve, we are not going to prescribe. It's up to the partner to define in a local context, to implement. And like with the fish and the fishing rod, we are trying to give the fishing rod, to build the fishing rod, to enable the partner to be self-sustaining in this approach going forward. Within the competency and the capability building, we are also looking into project management. We are looking into data collection capabilities and competencies. We're looking into the interventions and the initiatives and strategies. There's a lot of issues that we touch upon in these initial training sessions. Then we collect the data, or we, the partner and Planet Youth, collect the data, work with the data. We'll get back into it a little bit later how the engagement model looks like. But the project starts. And the initiatives are defined, they get implemented, and then the cycle runs for the next 5 years. At the end of a project, after 5 years, many of our partners ask then, so what then? So what's the role of Planet Youth? It all depends on the project and how it has been run. Sometimes the partner can run and implement and expand the project on their own with Planet Youth in an advisory role. Often partners also use Planet Youth to process, report and do the data collection part. In other cases, we assist in expanding the model to other municipalities or local councils or local units that have not implemented it. So the cycle can continue also after 5 years. Now, if you look at a typical engagement model, now we have prepared, we have signed an agreement, we have started the project. A typical engagement model would look like we have defined the structures of the project, and then there is a phase where we prepare for the first data collection. That preparation involves a workshop or training seminars where we look at the model as it is, the Planet Youth methodology. We look at how what it entails to be a Planet Youth community, but we also look at the practicalities of the data collection process. And in these workshops, it's important that we are have engaged with the persons that are going to be collecting the data, responsible for managing the students during the data collection. And there is a project structure and a reporting structure in place beforehand. In these workshops, these workshops also have a team building element in that sometimes the teams are meeting for the first time even as a whole team, although they maybe have met previously in core teams. But there is a team building element, and there is a launch, a kickoff atmosphere as well. Then the data collection takes place. In 6 to 8 weeks, you have the reports again detailing how your kids are doing now. And then after that, and during that time, obviously, we monitor and we have the data collection and processing and the reporting activities going on. And after that, there is a workshop. Again, when you have the data and when you have the reports, we have a training seminar and workshops on first how to work with the data, what insights have been generated into your community based on the data collection. And we focus on developing a dissemination plan and giving you the competencies required to develop such a dissemination plan and how to develop an action plan. So the data tells you this in the context of the 4 risk and protective factors, but what then? What should you be doing? Again, we don't prescribe, but we have a lot of best practices, tools, methods, ideas for what you can do depending on if you focus on parents or if you focus on leisure time activities or peer group, or whatever it is. But there are ideas and initiatives that you can use in our arsenal of those. When you've done that, when you've released the findings, you have defined and determined the dissemination plan, you're starting to implement it, you have designed the action plan and starting to plan it, we have project management meetings. So you meet your project teams, meet with a Planet Youth project manager or project advisor to advise you in your chosen initiatives, to advise you in project management and disseminations, but also advising you in this community liaison task that is now in front of you. So there we have capacities and talents that can help you with that as well. And these meetings are scheduled, at least in the first year, every week, every second week, just to keep that flow of information and ideas going. Now, after you collected the data, you started the work on implementing, we have what we call a process follow-up. This is a standardized approach to collecting information in the project teams about what is being done. How many meetings you've had with the community, how it is going with implementing the different initiatives you have decided on. But it's a way for us to stay in touch more formally than with the project management meetings. But it's also a way for us to look into the processes that are ongoing, to monitor and find out and help if there is anything that needs to be done. Now, this is the engagement model for the first year. It's a bit special because you are starting as a new partner. There are lots of things that need to be learned. There are lots of practicalities that need to be defined that will run and be reused in the remaining years of the project. So the engagement models for year 2 to 5 are based on the same initial structure, but you will discover that as you go through the process, as you do this more often, you will be more self-sustaining in your activities. Usually when we do, during the implementation years, we have these project management meetings, we have regular meetings with our partners. In year 3, when there's a data collection, again, we have a refresher on how to collect the data, a refresher on the process approach. We collect the data, and then there are these post survey workshops, similar workshops as we had in the first year, but now we don't need to define new initiatives. We might, based on the data, but It's more a focus on, should we reevaluate some of the existing initiatives? Is there anything we need to do differently? Is there anything we need to focus more on or less on? So it's a more of a re-evaluation type of workshops in years 3 and 5. The process follow-up is a similar. It's been running continuously throughout the 5-year project. The project management meetings are not necessarily once a week or once every second week, but they are also regular after these data collections, just to keep the momentum and give you a pipeline or a line towards some advice from our community liaisons experts. At the end of the 5-year period, there are different ways we experience how partners want to do it. Sometimes there is like a conference, like a wrap-up conference. You look at the 5 years in a perspective. You have the process evaluation results. How did the processes, how did they change during those years? You might have impact and outcome evaluation data as well you can present. And then there might be a look towards the future, like a what now type of consideration. So this has given you some insights into how you engage with us as an organization and with the processes and the procedures that we follow. We place great emphasis on that the process is what we do. If you want this to work in your community, you follow that process. There is no prescriptions or no silver bullets or magic wands. It's the process that creates the results, combined with this data-driven approach to decision-making in primary prevention at this level. So I want to thank you very much for attending this session and the conference as well. We will answer questions and discuss later on today, but very much looking forward to, if you have any questions you want to put forth, please don't hesitate to do so. Thank you.